And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence.
It was 1776 when the founders signed the writ of independence from the Brits. It was revolution. Now an enemy from within would enslave us all again and deprive us of our rights in the Constitution. Restore the Republic. Wake up, it's time to understand. Restore the Republic. We're losing our freedom in the land. Working from behind the scenes, controlling everything, from the daily news we read to the politicians. And they're pulling our financial strings, more powerful than kings. There's a central bank elite bringing our destruction. Restore the Republic. Wake up, it's time to make a stand. Restore the Republic. We are the people and we can. Restore the Republic. Pledge our allegiance to the flag. Restore the Republic. We gotta take our freedom back. America, arise. It's time to open up our eyes and march back down the road to freedom. If we live the other way, they'll take our rights away. So we the people must defeat them. Restore the Republic. Printing money till we choke, shoving taxes down our throats, bailing out banks we don't even owe. It's a ruination. They're invading our privacy with high technology, microchip in our ID. It's abomination. Restore the Republic. Wake up, it's time to make a stand. Restore the Republic. Spread the news across the land. Restore the Republic. Pledge our allegiance to the flag. Restore the Republic. It's time to take our freedom back. It's time to take our freedom back. It's time to take our freedom back.
Remember your training and you will come back alive. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special report. Uh-oh. And it sounds like we're on the docks in Boston again. Oh, there we go. Well, I guess we're not going to Boston after all. Well, this is a special intelligence report / LTR PBN special report, ladies and gentlemen. It is Sunday. It is a wet and rainy day. Good day for infiltration and exfiltration, a combat operation. March 28th, second year of occupation by the Fabian and Soviet Socialists in America with a K. Sounds like things are getting exciting. 2010, benchmarking that. This is a live broadcast. It is 3:11 in the afternoon Eastern Time, and this is for all of our brothers and sisters, Central, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to us on libertytreeradio.4mg.com, pbn.4mg.com, and we are on live 365. Then go to Liberty Tree Radio. We are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, Ultra Net technologies, both east and west of the Mississippi, along with southern and central Alaska. We are on the Hallmark Network on the eastern seaboard, from the top of Maine to the bottom of Florida, from the bottom of Florida all the way across the arc of the Gulf of Mexico, headed towards Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, a little smidgen of Nebraska, and looks like a treble hook over there in Oklahoma. Oh, forgive me, over there in Iowa, /Iowa, tomato. Anyway, it is a beautiful day out there, as we've said, benchmarking again for all of you who are listening. It is the 28th of March, second year of occupation, 2010. And we have a lot of activity going on around the country, but I know that everybody's waiting for a sit rep and an evaluation. What's been going on for the last 40...
Can you hear me?
Correction, go ahead.
All right, I have the initial sit rep report here in my hand, the form. Do you want me to read that on the air?
Go right ahead. In fact, this is Edward with a PBN update and this is the original report as it came in. Go ahead.
Yeah, this report came from people who had firsthand information. They were on the scene. They're some of the people they detained that they released. First, the FBI, Homeland Security, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department were involved with raids around Michigan yesterday around 6:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The site that we got the report from was the memorial service. It was taking place on Ellsworth Road in Ann Arbor. The report came from Lady Pitbull. Let's see. They raided the memorial service with the SWAT team guns drawn. They detained several members that were there for the service. They were asking questions. Has anyone made threats? Have you heard anyone make threats, etc.? They took R.D., Jr., Oz, Tina, and Mikey into custody. They released Ken, Wendy, Jarrett, Justin S., and another member who we're not giving the name out for that person at this time. Let's see, I believe that's it for the Michigan report. Then we had 3 reports that came in through mainstream media that we were able to link to this action. First was Channel 7. That report was about the raids that were taking place here in Michigan. In the Channel 7 report, they claim they picked 6 people up crossing the border from Ohio to Michigan. We've not been able to confirm that. We also have not been able to confirm who they are, if there was anybody picked up there. We also know that they were raiding Mikey's parents' house and Dave's house. We have 2 reports outside the state as well. Ohio, in Sandusky, there were raids conducted in that area. And in Chicago, just outside Chicago, Illinois, there were raids conducted there as well.
Very good. Now, to update everybody, I've talked to most of the principals who were either in contact with or who were not detained for an extended period of time, but were detained. First of all, our biggest question is, who chose the warehouse as a location to have the meeting, the wake for the individual who just passed away? I will say this, just by the fact that the bat faggots, the scumbags that are with the Homeland Security, these gutter trash, to go to a funeral event or a wake and attack in this way pretty well has cut the rope. There are a lot of people right now that are mobilized. I'm going to warn everybody, and I will warn everybody clearly about this. I don't even know how many, and I can't be sure. But a lot of people said, well, if they'll do that, they'll do pretty much anything. You figure they're going to, if they've gone to that extreme, that whoever it is that made this decision just sank their own boat. That's all I can say, because there's people out there right now that have said that this is one of the most disgusting acts that they have seen so far. I can't use all the expletive deleteds. In the last 24 hours, different militia commanders were mobilizing. in fact, as the event took place, I want to commend all of the individuals who systematically collected the data, were able to pass the information on, both did ground collection on sites, went in, risked their lives, because anybody in this situation knows that the hairballs on the other side are a bunch of rabid, red-eyed nutcases that, you're going to have to deal with them someday. It's going to happen. And the people went in, did their job, came back out, confirmed numbers. We had individuals who took photographs that with one unit took photographs of all of the Homeland Security units on the ground down in the Adrian area. We had a number of different people who did their part to infiltrate and exfiltrate appropriately, to do reconnaissance collection. Communications as far as passing the information on. Several of the different communications nets and grids were lit up. Some of them had problems. This was not perfect, and we warned everybody about this. In some cases, people activated equipment that they found out did not work because they had not calibrated. What's the surprise there? What have we warned you over and over and over again about? So about 4 to maybe 7% of the grid was offline temporarily until technicians could get there to check the equipment and find out what was going on. The militia formations that have responded that are in combat order of battle right now is the 6th Regimental Combat Team Colonial Marines out of Jackson, along with elements of the 4th Colonial Marines Regimental Combat Team. The 3rd Company, 2nd and 3rd platoons, and I'm going to make sure I get that right, were the first to mobilize from the CMM units. We also want to thank a fully independent and heavy infantry independent group that were available from the Jackson area also that mobilized. I believe that they know the family, and they were very, very rapid to respond. We have a number of other formations around the state. Most of the Wolverines, with the exception of 2 counties, were fairly well covered within a very short period of time once the machine was in motion. But this is demonstrating for all of you the need to tighten the ship up. The action itself is an insult in general to decency. We know this. It's propaganda. The other part that I would point out, people, is, remember, we have covered this progressively through the intel report. We had 2 off-the-wall story pieces that were done. First by the Ann Arbor Snooze / the Ann Arbor News, and now I have names of who it is that was doing the suck-up with them, because we know who the reporters were, so now we'll know who to go interview and talk to when the time comes. And the other was Channel 4 News. Now, in both cases, these were off-the-wall, weird or bizarre, and, of course, they were told by the Fed to do this. They didn't think this up on their own. This was, as we've said before, the only purpose for the press doing articles is preparatory to attack. Always remember that. And as we discussed this, in fact, if you go through the archives, we had open discussion on this. Something's in the wind. Everybody pay attention and stay frosty. Well, again, it does not surprise us. Our enemy is completely predictable. Most important is that there was no confusion on this by the very fact that this random and very specific state/regional propaganda piece was done. The only question is whether or not there was something done in Illinois/Northern Indiana and over in the Cleveland/Ohio area at the same time. We're going to find out more about that because we've got to do a survey or background survey of what was done in the last, about 120 hours. But there is no doubt that, again, that was preparatory. If you go to the Ann Arbor News, approximately, 3 days, going on 4 days ago now, you can read the article, and the whole thing is just, it doesn't make sense. It was off the wall. The Channel 4 piece was the same way with the, I don't know why they would do this, and it was all prompted by Southern Perversion Law, the ADL, and the Twisted Sisters there, along with, of course, coaching from the regime. So, again, you see a pattern. This will help you to flag and identify need for mobilization. Does everybody understand that? If something like this happens, remember, you can respond, not react, respond that much quicker. Another thing that we have to make everybody understand, there are many units out there in motion right now. They're on the expressway, although not many of them are lumped up. They know how to move tactically. So I have to warn everybody that we are still in a probable, or, well, let's say, put it this way, possible escalation of action. If the aggressor proceeds with anything, then chances are you're going to hear pop, pop, boom, boom on the horizon. Now, I'm going to warn you, we can't do anything to stop it. I've heard all this whining, oh, my goodness, oh, they're planning. You know what? Tell you what, watch and see what happens with their plan. And again, I'm going to warn you right now, the men that responded were individuals who are combat veterans who are very grim. And I will point something out. I don't like having to talk to wives who are crying. Okay, I don't like to because I understand how they're hurt. I had to deal with several different calls with wives whose husbands are going out the door to go to war. Okay? Most important is there were two different types of responses, and I will compliment all of these young ladies and all of the women who have been supporting their husbands in this effort to defend our liberty. The first was one wife who was crying. I mean, just let her. She wasn't bawling, but she was crying, and I could barely understand her initially. I know why she was calling. And one of the things that she was concerned with is that she just got her husband back here only a short time ago. He is a recent veteran, and she knows what his war face is like. And well, the sad part about it is, of course, he's out there right now. These guys are deployed. They're still looking at the probability of conflict escalating. And she said, the only thing he did is he kissed the babies goodbye, kissed them once. He's got two children, two young sons, and then he went on to do business. Now, I've warned you about this, and I have told you about this, and the enemy are going to learn the hard way. They all puffed up. They want to play Billy Bad Butt. Well, you know what? We're Americans. We're not Slavs. We're not Mexicans. We're not Russians. We're not boot-looking anybody. We're boot-kicking anybody that's stupid enough to step on our liberty, and this stuff's going to escalate really fast.
Hey, Mark. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Somebody just sent me an interesting comment, and I got to agree. This attacking people at a funeral, that's indicative of mafia and gang warfare.
We lost you, Ed. Go ahead. Repeat that.
I said hang on here. I was saying, somebody just sent me a comment saying that this...
Hi, I'm Happy Angel Waterdrop. Sorry to rain on your day, but there's no good way to say this. 4,100 children die each day because they lack access to safe water. Help UNICEF send them water today at tapproject.org/mobile.
Live 365.
That chose this, except again, they wanted to take advantage of attacking him during this wake. There were people all over the state that were actually mobilized, but not for the reason of this so much as they were, for training exercises or whatever. All they did was sent two men down the road to get a truck, pick up more ammo. So anyway, anything else? I'm sorry, sir. Please go ahead.
Oh, are you talking to me, sir?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Oh no, I think that about wraps it up, Mark. I don't think anybody should be motivated by like feelings, like you said. We've got to remain in calm and collected to be able to win this thing.
Exactly.
And I totally agree with you because I mean, screaming and shouting, that's no place on the battlefield because
right.
It's we have to be calm, we have to be focused, and I've been monitoring a couple of different forums. That's how I found out about what was going on. I didn't find out about it until this morning, and people are fired up, man, because the government's the one that made the move, and they're definitely looking like the bad guys now.
Yep. This whole thing is
this works in our favor.
I'm going to remind everybody about what. Here's the problem with this. Do you remember the Bob Starr incident? Bob Starr out of Georgia. Bob Starr was an excellent man, Georgia militia, didn't do anything illegal or unlawful. The bat faggots came onto the property and planted stuff on his property. This actually came up in the trial. And they called it, site. Now, instead of calling it planting evidence, you know what they called it? Site enhancement. Now, this was just before the Olympic bombing. So what they did is they dragged them in there, and of course they lied through their teeth, and then they had a jury trial, and he had a jury trial, and they had these buffoons in there, and they heard that, and they still went along with that prostituter. Now, there's a place in hell for a jurist, anybody who would listen to somebody talk about fabricating an absolute lie against an innocent man and then allowing the process to proceed. Damn them to hell. I won't say anything better about it, and it is appropriate to say it on this Sunday. They are damned to hell, and I don't have to do it. Bearing that type of wicked, false witness has its own punishment, as we know. And that is a fact. So as far as anything you hear with these shysters, those green-clad pieces of parasitic booger, those other pieces of tripe that showed up, all stinking lot of them are a bunch of lying sacks of BS, sucking up to a bunch of queers like Barney Frank in Washington, and that's their idea of their leader, along with old Bad Ears there. That's their idea of their rah-rah, charge, hard-charging leader. They're a Barney Frank crew. What does that tell you?
That's the best part about them, Mark, is they, under this system that creates the rules, which we all know is much different than our forefathers, they get to lie in a courtroom and get away with it because they're protected.
Yep. And that's
but
where, again...
if I lie, we get charged with perjury. We go to federal prison. But they can lie. They've got permission to lie. And let's not forget who these judges... And I'll bet you right now, when it comes out, whatever judge that signed these warrants, if there even was a warrant, okay, that judge is going to be one of two things, a Democrat or a Republican, and that's where they set. They can try to say, oh, well, the judges are nonpartisan. Go look at where they donate their money. It's a two-party system time and time again.
Yep.
They're nothing but a bunch of criminals, and those judges that put on the black robes, they're nothing but a bunch of lawyers. That's all they are. They protect the two-party system. That's where they get their paycheck from. They're not fooling me, Mark. They're not fooling me.
And the fact they're not fooling. I think the biggest problem they've got and why the panic issue, again, is that most everybody's looking at them with sunglasses on. It's like they live. That's what.
Well, yeah, why they're worried about members of the militia. Let's not forget, we've got illegal aliens flooding over our borders. Where's the raids on them? Oh, yeah, we can't be doing that, right? Because the ADL and the SPLC, that's hate. That's hate to go after illegal aliens. But it's okay to go after law-abiding militia members. This is ridiculous.
Well, again, there's no accidents of the timing. Everybody needs to stay frosty on this and needs to pay attention. You know why as well as I do. We're not out in the clear yet, guys.
That's right.
I think that number one, the biggest problem they've got is they don't realize right now it is a tinderbox. The situation is a tinderbox. In fact, I'm going to go down the checklist. One of the things that the one woman, in fact, thank you for making me talk. One of the things that the wife of one of the unit commanders that's in the field, one of the things she said, even though she's got everything on her mind, even though I know she was upset. She's an older woman. She's very thoughtful. One of the last things she said is, by the way, and I got to keep the bread box, too many things, lumberyard, too many things in the lumberyard. She was saying, even as I'm doing this, I've got my children. I called them on the phone and I told them to start filling up every water container they can. And she's got the right idea, guys. If this goes into a shooting conflict, are all of your water vessels filled? Is everything? Right now, there's a bunch of things you can be doing that aren't panicking, but what you need to do is top off your water containers. Make sure that extra water containers are filled. If you've got pans you can put on the stove, I would fill them up. If you got a bathtub, wouldn't hurt to fill that up probably either. She has the right idea because, like she said, they're going to this thing could go any way you can imagine and fall right into the basement real fast. And the other thing was some people went out as soon as the stores were open today, like we said, take a few dollars, buy a whole bunch of oatmeal. It's not exciting, but it'll keep you fed. And there's just precautionary things that we can do in light of what's happening. It's going to get worse, not better. And these guys probably will do something stupid on the other side. When they do, it's finished. Right now, we don't know. Here's one of the problems we have, guys. Now, I don't know if Edward brought this up, but while we were monitoring, and I want to say thank you to the guys that were covering this, because it was also in the dispatch that they moved somebody from the lockup over at Washtenaw County over to the University of Michigan Hospital. We can assume that, as likely as not, either they beat on one of the prisoners or they may have severely injured while torturing one of the prisoners. Since torture is in their vocabulary, and I will remind you of this is not Mark making this up, people. This is the reality of America with a K that we warned you all about, and you have seen variations on this. They may have dislocated somebody's shoulders playing with the handcuffs behind their back. Tommy from Brooklyn can tell you all about that. They may have decided to beat on him, on for instance, Dave's wife. How many of you have seen the video on YouTube of the little, 18-year-old girl being beat up by the two thugs that are barrel fisting the woman? They kick her right into, they beat her right into the cell, and you're going to tell me this doesn't happen in America with a K? Men of the West, we have had enough. Not panic and not shouting. Men of the West, we have had enough.
All right, Mark, I got to give a quick update here. We are capping,
go right ahead, please.
We are capping our bandwidth on Liberty Tree Radio quite a bit. We've got VIP members and others that are tuning in, trying to listen, and we're getting people bumped off right now. We do have the reflectors that are available. You can get to them at libertytreeradio.4mg.com. Of course, Militia Radio is rebroadcasting us. I believe Freeman Radio is as well. If you want to go there to tune in, or if you want to tell other people to tune in and listen to what's going on, refer them to the other sites as well as ours. They may not be able to get into one stream. They'll probably be able to get into the others.
Thank you, Ed. And again, for everybody out there listening, remember, if you go to libertytreeradio.4mg.com, you probably already have, then go look to the left of the screen. You will find, left screen on the left index, you will find connection points for this broadcast and for LTR in general. We promise that for as long as we can, we will continue to do live broadcasting on and off and to update the chat room as we can through the day. We promise that we will do that. We have. In fact, we can't do it by ourselves. It's not possible. So instead, what's happened is all the good people that stepped in and participated and helped with that. I think I have another voice. Who do we have? Caller, go ahead. Oh, I think we're clear right now. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. And again, if he does want to call in, I know we've got all kinds of other activity. There's stuff going on. First of all, confirm, I have to do this on the air. Battle frequency, well, I'm not going to, number 4 is clear and active, and it came through. So also, frequency 4 is clear and active. Thank you for the test. If you'd like to call in, 218-844-8060, 218-844-8060. And then the room code is 437-9296 and pound sign. 437-9296 and the pound sign. If you'd like to give us a ring, you can do that. I want to say thank you to Steve. He's posting right now in the chat room alternatives, links, ways that you can listen to the programming and not be, booted off or lose connection. Through the whole of the night, we had we did not have any conflicting, let me point this out, did not have any conflicting reports. We did have a few simple corrections that were made. All they were doing is proper tweaking of the ECOMCON reports. This was a good effort, and I want to say thank you to everybody. Progressively, each person tag team picked up the activity and went out and ran with the ball. I don't know what other people are doing. I don't know what other networks. I know we have other groups and other pods that have been picking this up. I know that our friends from North Carolina, our friends from Maine, our friends from all of the western states, right now are rebroadcasting what we're doing at this moment, even as I speak. And I want to say thank you to that for those people for doing what they're doing also. All of the armies of Asia and Europe cannot by force of arms take a drink from the Ohio River, nor lay a track upon the Blue Ridge Mountains. If this nation is to fall, it shall fall first from treachery from within, and then force of arms from without.
And I want to proudly say that I don't use a teleprompter for anything that I do on the air. I'm like that bat-eared piece of tripe we got in the White House, that piece of skunk meat. And the goof that stares at the back of his head every day. Have you noticed something, people? I want to bring this up again because I've been watching how many people are wondering whether or not Biden is boring a hole in the back of Osama Bama Ding Dong's head with his eyeballs. Has everybody noticed this? It's like he's showing everybody he's the puppet master, or like when you have a marionette, how you have the ventriloquist, how you have the manager and you have the dummy. Just something it really jumped out last night, even though I was going to run for a while, guys. I was looking at 2 or 3 more videos, and it's like, what in the... I mean, after a while, everybody better be asking some questions here. And most of it has to do with how in the hell did that goof ever get anywhere near the chair in the Oval Office? What in the hell happened to the brains of anybody out there that supposedly was voting? Excuse me. And that's another insult to this country, but that's from another direction. I don't care who the person is color-wise so much as whether or not they're competent, and the shyster's not competent. But that's, Anyway. Now, other things going on here real quick. I will remind everybody, water, food, make sure that if you are going to be moving troops or you're going to be moving to secondary locations, before you move, fill all canteens and all water containers. We had this happen with another unit. Same trick I've seen in the military, and by the way, it's something that somebody said, Mark, you told us so. And what happened is some people decided they were going to save weight by not filling their canteens. Now, I'm going to tell you something about that. We have lost wars for lack of water, or at least battles. So if you are going into the field, not only should you be carrying the canteens and filling the ones you got, I'd recommend you carry a little extra water along. You don't know where you're going to get pinned down. You don't know how you're going to get, even if you're hurt, the need for water, and especially for our combat troops. Another thing is ammo, and more ammo. If you're going into the field and you're deploying, then make sure that you're accessed beyond normal combat load. You will consume it. It will be gone faster than you anticipated.
Mark, I got to pop up
Okay?
here.
So as things escalate, expect this. Okay? Another thing that, and I think what we're going to do, we're almost...
We're getting close to top.
Mark, let me give you...
Real quick, you want to take a break?
Go ahead, we got another report. I think I heard 2 voices. I know we got Ed there.
Mine and somebody else's. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, go ahead, Ed.
I was
Jump in there, go ahead.
Wanted to take a break.
We can take a break. Let's do that. Let's take a few. Is it okay, caller? Is that okay?
Yeah, Mark, what I want you to do is run through the whole scenario again so I can get it back out of the air to clear up any confusion.
Absolutely. Is this George?
When you come back, yeah.
Okay, George, we're going to take a break for a few minutes. I'm going to make sure the cats are taken care of here. I've got all my more four-footed keyboard operators trying to pitch in. And I'll tell you what, we're going to close this way as we do with all the hours. God bless the Republic.
Death to
the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The Empire is on the run.
We're on the march.
Are on the march. Yes, thank you very much, George. Appreciate that.
Where have all the military surplus stores gone? Don't worry, you don't need one, because everything you need at Military Surplus is at MaineMilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E Military.com, one of the last surviving true military surplus stores in the country. Go online now to MaineMilitary.com and discover a source for hard-to-find surplus items at true surplus prices. Surplus gun cleaning kits as low as $2.99. Complete chemical suits as low as $11.99. See our huge selection of gas masks, filters, and accessories. Finish at M10 gas masks are 3 for $30, and Swiss filters are 3 for $12. Searching for Strike Anywhere matches? MaineMilitary.com has them, plus a whole new product line of survival and first aid kits and lots more. Get free shipping on orders over $50 only at MaineMilitary.com. That's M-A-I-N-E Military.com, or call 877-608-0179, 877-608-0179. MaineMilitary.com, the main name in military supply.
My fellow Americans, my magic teleprompter tells me some folks still don't trust me when it comes to guns, despite the fact that I've frowned thoughtfully, smiled reassuringly, and appeared on several television shows. As a result, nationwide gun sales have skyrocketed, bolstering a slow economy, meaning this must have been my plan all along. So for now, I encourage you to visit Knob Creek Gun Range. Rent a gun and get outdoors to their main, private, or combat pistol ranges. Take a gun safety or concealed carry class. Buy a hunting or assault rifle or reloading supplies. Knob Creek Gun Range in West Point, Kentucky is 1 mile off Dixie Highway. On Highway 44 at 690 Ritchie Lane. Do your part and call 922-4457. That's 922-4457. Look, if I wanted to shoot holes in the Second Amendment, but I took away my own guns, I couldn't do it, could I? Think about it.
JRH Enterprises, www.jrhenterprises.com. Food storage packages, fuel storage preservatives, gas masks and accessories, long-term storage food, MREs, night vision, outdoor clothing, protective suits, radiation detectors, tactical gear, water filters, medical kits, and much more. www.jrhenterprises.com. That website again, www.jrhenterprises.com, or give us a call. The number is 912-379-9441. That number again is 912-379-9441. JRH Enterprises.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free, and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free, and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. Permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper, so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm, so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm, and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand. Defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
Or ahead of you.
Yeah.
So
guys,
that'd be
we're
9.
back up.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm glad to get hold of you.
We'll tell you, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a second hour of a special Intel report. You're listening to LibertyTreeRadio.4mg.com. I'm Mark Koernke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, Central, and Central. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to us on LibertyTreeRadio.4mg.com, PBN.4mg.com, and we are on Live 365. Then go to Liberty Tree Radio. We are also on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and alternate technologies, both east and west of the Mississippi, along with southern and central Alaska. We are on the Hallmark Network from the top of Maine to the bottom of Florida, from the bottom of Florida all the way across the arc of the Gulf of Mexico, headed towards through Gormania/Mid-Arctica, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, a smidgen of the occupied zone of Nebraska, and Iowa over the other direction. And that's a spiral that's overlapping the Ultranet, which is fantastic. We are also on the Golden Spike Project on the Eastern Seaboard. Congratulations to the restaurant crew and to the Grandma teams along with the OK teams for their work. This is a benchmark. This is a special report, by the way. It is the 28th of March, second year of Fabian and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K, 2010. We have several callers, I think, listening in. Some might be patiently listening, but I think we have Pam here. Pam, did you want to come up for a minute or say hi? Uh-oh, I think Pam was there. Oh, time to get off the air. That's okay. That's not a problem. Now, first of all, this is a special report. It has been a long 2 days, and it is not going to probably end anytime soon. First of all, sometime actually in the afternoon to evening hours of Saturday night, last night, elements of the occupation government, combination of Homeland/bottom-feeding security and other agencies, to include some trash team that's one of the JTF-type operations that before. By the way, I hope everybody paid attention. JTTF. Remember the JTF that didn't exist, that they told you was just crazy? Mark doesn't know what he's talking about. None of us had any clue about history or what was going on. Well, they just announced it publicly. Well, of course it doesn't exist if we talk about it until they decide that all of a sudden they need to brag about it. Isn't that fascinating? Well, anyway, combination of one of the JTF elements and other bottom feeders attacked elements of the Hutaree, one of the Hutaree militia units here, both in Michigan, Ohio, and northern Indiana/Illinois. The action proceeded over approximately a 5 to 7 hour period, depending on the math you want to use, because the event was protracted. And the most heinous part of this activity is that these bottom-feeding pieces of gutter trash, notice I could be a little more professional if you want to call it that, but I don't get paid to do this. The scum attacked the Hutaree element in this area while they were at a wake for one of the fellow members that has passed away. These are disgusting creatures on the other side. They are bottom-feeding tripe. They are filth, as far as I'm concerned. But the action proceeded. We know that the two different counties participated here in Michigan, and also that other elements participated in the other parts of the respective states. During the initial phase, as a warning order went out, militia units randomly responded in mixed sizes. The 6th Regimental Combat Team, Colonial Marines, an element from Jackson, which is the 2nd Company or forgive me, I'll make sure I get the right. Second company, the second and first and third company, second and third platoons responded quickly. Another independent militia unit that is familiar with the Hutaree unit and both Dave and the crew also mobilized very quickly. Other independent or smaller formations that were informed by phone or through the emergency net then mobilized and tried to respond to the best of their ability, trying to identify where the problem was or where the threat was. The eventual information led them to continue reconnaissance and ground surveillance operations to probe the area of activities here both in Washtenaw County and in Lenawee County. I want to congratulate the professionalism and the expertise displayed by the militia formations in their deployments. Many other independent individuals have escalated and mobilized their forces accordingly in a precautionary mode. Almost all of the Wolverine units, within a very reasonable period of time, with the exception of 2 counties, were able to get the notice out, and in some cases, since some of these formations were actually in training exercises this weekend, first possible timing for the enemy. Some of these units mobilized quickly. They sent individuals to acquire additional ammunition beyond the combat loads that the troops were carrying, and they were on standby and in their respective rally points within a very short period of time. Other communications glitches did take place. This did not go perfectly, but people found out that what we warned them about, and I'm going to rub this in. Guys, get it out of the box, plug it in, and find out if it works. Percentage, no more than 4 to 6%, but about that, actually had failure to be able to work into the radio grid because of equipment that did not function, simply because they did not know how to use it. Now, that's expected. I know no matter how many times Mark says fill the canteen or check your equipment, especially since we're dealing with millions of people out there that are in preparation mode, that some people simply, they're going to either feel they don't have the time or they don't have the need. That's expected. I understand that. But now I'm going to rub this in, that put at risk a certain number of people. Now, through the evening, units, both the 6th and the 4th RCT, Colonial Marine Militia, the majority coming out of the Jackson, and I guess, forgive me because I know part of them are from the eastern Lenawee County area, and other elements, one from the Wayne County area, to include another Wolverine unit. Forgive me, I don't have all the numbers here in front of me for the moment. Other elements mobilized, came to bear, and successfully participated in supporting each other. Some of these units are still in the field. Many of them are deployed and monitoring, or their reconnaissance elements are now in what we call hunting mode. And this is something I will caution everyone about. It is highly probable, and in fact, the bad guys are going to do something stupid, and this thing can escalate very quickly. We are not out of the woods. We are not in the clear. I believe that the bad guys thought it was going to be a cakewalk, and while certainly they have kidnapped people with a sealed, and if you're walking up to me and you say you have a sealed anything, you don't have a warrant. God help you if you run into any of these people and try to play that game. Everybody knows better. So this is a situation that is very serious. It has continued to escalate. We have been up for about 2 days now nonstop because we really didn't plan. Nobody plans for this, guys. Nobody plans. You're like, there's a nice, neat box. It has escalated quickly. We still have a question, and again, I want to say thank you. We have business owners that opened their stores that allowed us to create monitoring points or observation points of the strong site of the sites that are in question that the bad guys are using. We have a number of people who have provided special technologies that didn't have to, and I can say they stepped in, and it was not a surprise, but it was a blessing. That has saved probably a great deal of concern or pain, or perhaps this thing could have escalated sooner. It didn't, so that is a good thing. But those people have put themselves at risk, and they put their money where their mouth is. So I want to say thank you on the air where everybody in the country can hear this, and all of you that are listening will know this, that we have good people out there who have stepped in. All of you men and women who have helped in the chat room have done a fantastic job over the last 24 hours. Don't let up, and please, we have to pass the baton. Nobody can spend every hour of the waking, every hour of the day awake. You know this. So we have to relay. We have to work together. Continue to do that. I hear voices in the background. Who do we have on the air, please? Uh-oh. Maybe we just have interference. Well, as it is. The progressive actions over, we do know that, we do not know, but I will say this, and I will repeat what I said in the last hour. While the men were monitoring the radio transmissions of the local police agencies, one of the things that came to bear is that apparently one prisoner was transported to the University of Michigan Hospital for injuries sustained while over at the lockup. The word torture is the first thing that comes to mind, and considering what we've seen of them beating women or men, you've seen it on YouTube, you can expect this type of heinous action from our enemy, and we still don't have confirmation on that, but we have many, many people at the University of Michigan, and some of the ladies are working to find out more for us from that end even as we speak. There are quite a few people who are putting their ear to the rail from many directions to give us what we need in the way of data. And that's going to happen. Boy, I hear a little more noise here. Who do we have? Anybody? I heard a beep. No? Patient listeners, not a problem. Anyway, to follow up on this, over the last several hours, while we've seen a reorganization and a movement on the part of the federal forces that sortied into the area, they were being monitored, and they have been ID'd. I understand that one element down in Lenawee County was able to virtually photograph every one of the individuals that was on the ground. They got the pictures out of the area. They immediately began copying. They have already sent couriers with copies of the discs. Immediately they speed copied to locations in Ohio and Indiana and to other locations in Michigan. These are going to be shared. I don't know how they're going to do this, but I know that it's already in motion. And again, so hopefully we'll benefit from that. Also the activity in the Ann Arbor area, which is where the other holding site was, and where the supposed mobile, well, whatever they want to call it, it was a mobile command center that was brought in. That site was monitored in a number of different ways successfully by the reconnaissance elements and the other volunteers who simply passed through the area. And again, even those people made the point of taking a risk, following through on the action, and successfully performed that task to the best of their ability. And I want to say thank you. You will notice that I am not shouting, and you will notice that I am not panicked. Why do you think that is the case? Because all of this is a we told you so. Now, the most disgusting part about this, and one of the reasons we are concerned, is that some of the men that have responded to this feel that this is the ultimate of insults and demonstrations of indecency on the part of the scum on the other side. The fact that they attacked people at a wake that was a funeral for a friend is considered to be, it's one of those holy of holy things you don't do. And there are a lot of people that are at the boiling point right now. They're not crazy. They're not wild-eyed. They're very, very calm. One of the things I had to deal with here this morning were crying whites. Okay? Now, the thing about that is, and I know this because I've seen a lot of people go into battle, and I will say that I was proud of all the ladies that we had that called or that we talked to, and both young and old, because they understand the need. They have supported their husbands, and these men have done their part, and the ladies are doing theirs. Now, the older woman that I talked to, the lady, the fine woman that I talked to, who is the wife of one of the RCT commanders that's in the field. He's not a primary unit commander. He's actually taken charge. We have a policy. I think I should explain this. Whoever the unit commander is, whoever the team leader / unit commander is that's first on site, the way an RCT is set up is that man having first knowledge of the activity and the deployment, becomes the coordinating officer or the coordinating NCO for the activity, no matter how many hundreds of men are involved or how many troops are involved or how many formations.
Site commander.
He has the working knowledge, that's right. He has the field working knowledge to get the job done. His wife has sent him off to war a couple of times. Her voice was breaking, but she was not crying. And the one thing that she did, and I would ask everybody to do this, we have prisoners right now who have been illegitimately taken by an illegitimate government and a bunch of prostitutes in green uniforms, a bunch of whores, a bunch of bottom-feeding tripe. And we need to, right now, rise up in prayer as much as anything. No, I know that it's going to take physical action, guys. But we need to remember that this is our Sunday, and again, our enemy has insulted us. These insults will continue. They are going to proceed until we reach a snapping point, and it will not be a panic, and it will not be a riot. I do not believe they understand the feces storm that they are mixing themselves up in. There are grim men who have killed so many that they cannot count how many they have killed. There are our men. They have tried to be peaceable. They have tried to be reasonable. They are warriors who hoped to enjoy peace for a time. In fact, the one gentleman, his wife, she said, I was hoping we'd enjoy the rest of our life together, quietly. This gentleman was, he ended Vietnam, went to Grenada, and also was in the very, the beginning of the whole thing with Desert Dust. So he's had a long career. And what's interesting is that she said, I don't see that happening. But one thing she reminded me we did this together is we prayed for his strength and for his return. Because through being strong and by being victorious, he will return. Being weak won't do it, guys. So I want to say thank you to this fine woman and our fine ladies who are supporting their warriors, their husbands, in the field right now. Okay? Always remember, do not forget them. And remember, that's why we are the sword and the shield of the people. We are the militia. It is our job. It is what we do. It is what we will continue to do. And we will do it until our nation is free once again. You all remember that. I heard another voice here. Forgive me. Who do we have?
Hello, Mark. It's Tommy.
Hey, Tom. Go ahead, sir.
Folks, this is to truly understand the gravity of the situation, you have to have been arrested at one particular time or another. Now, we're all of the posture that this may go critical and this situation is going to be really, really bad. And Mark, you being the closest to what's actually going on in the state of Michigan, I'm going to ask you a couple of very, very simplistic questions, and I think that these are things that could easily be done by our friends and even our people in the chat room. Number one, have the feds actually made a declaration of what the charges were? That's number one. Has anybody actually looked into what the actual charges are? That's number one. Number two, has anybody sent an attorney down to the courthouse for them to produce the bodies and see what shape these people are in that have been taken into custody? Now you're saying that one of them has had to be hospitalized. This is not Soviet Russia, folks. I mean, I know firsthand what they're capable of when there is no oversight. And believe me, I'm really upset.
Let's point out, Tommy, you experience, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I brought this up. There's a bunch of dirty tricks, things that they will do. And again, once you are bound, there are sadists who will hurt you.
Mark, I allowed myself to get cuffed, and then I was beaten into being a cripple. Okay? I don't want to bring up my own stuff, but basically, these people are our people, and they're being held possibly for some nonsense. Now, isn't it interesting that I heard through the mainstream, through one of our friends that found it on the mainstream, that these guys were selling pipe bombs, okay? And it's the first I heard of that. But I said, this is starting to sound like the Starr McCraney investigation, where
Let's go.
One guy was an electrician, the other guy was a plumber, and they were both into reloading, so they had bomb supplies. And then when the BATF buried the pipe bomb, buried live pipe bombs on their property and dug them up to enhance the case. I had called Nancy Lord and I said, "Guess what? You just lost your case." She said, "No, the BATF admitted to burying pipe bombs on the property. We'll have it tossed." And I said, "No, the Olympic Park bomb just went off, and you just lost your case." And that's exactly what happened. And those fellows are still in jail. And that was a completely manufactured case, Barb. When the same people can control the prosecution that control the investigation, you are screwed if they want you to be screwed. Okay?
Let's back up a little farther for everybody. Do you want to know why they made an announcement? First of all, all announcements that were made is that all of the warrants, quote unquote, were sealed. If you come to somebody with a sealed warrant, you have no warrant. There is no such thing as a sealed warrant. If you do not have a warrant, you're probably going to end up going to war in this country. As far as I'm telling the other side what's going to happen, because there's a bunch of people out there. If you come with what you call we have a sealed warrant, then probably don't be surprised if that touches base anywhere. It's going to be hell-bent for election in a firefight, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. I'm going to warn everybody now, because that is no warrant. Now, here's the thing. Tommy, that little announcement came up and was either generated by the propaganda arm or by the ADL or Southern Perversion Law. And I will tell you why I'm saying that. Guys, do you all remember when they attacked the Branch Davidians the very first few hours, what the announcements were on the news? Let me repeat, and I'm not even paraphrasing. It said the white supremacist compound of the Branch Davidians was attacked, or it was raided by the ATF, and they were ambushed. Now, you got to remember something. First of all, if you've ever seen the video of the Branch Davidians, and by the way, remember that's when they did the first few hours, they said suspected of drugs, which they had to drop because it turned out the whole thing was a fabricated lie. Well, we have seen this before. We're old enough to watch this 100 times over.
Mark, they're just relabeling the bond. They've come up with a formula that works and fools the people. They're doing it over and over and over again. And you know what? We've actually pulled the curtain away a couple of times and showed them the midget that was running the operation. And these people are still going for it. You know, if you're down to your last straw, don't accept another bail from the mainstream media. You know? And why do we have to find out what the charges are from the mainstream media or maybe they don't even have charges yet, and they're just doing a fishing expedition, see what they can get away with. But look at the collateral damage, and look at all of the heartache that they're causing all these good people. And you know, let me remind you something here. It was just a couple of days ago that they were getting accolades in the newspaper about things that they had done for looking for missing persons, right? How short is your memory, America? You're rooting for the wrong side. You know, we are the good people. We're doing the right thing. We're taking care of our neighbors and paying our bills with money and exchange of services and favors. And these other people are only worried about money. And you federal people that are listening, you are the best that we've ever had. And I'll tell you right off, you came from good schools and went and had nice educations and grew up in clean homes and have no criminal record. What happened to you people? Really? What happened to you people? We used to have respect for you. Now it's only disdain and fear. But we're not scared of you.
Right,
you understand?
Tommy,
we're not telling you that you're going to be able to jump through a chipper and not be hurt. You're walking into a chipper.
If you'll let me, because we do know what one of the charges are that they've claimed that they're holding them on, which is conspiracy.
Yeah, conspiracy is anything. What were they conspiring to do? Buy a hero sandwich?
Yeah, they don't say, but what they're holding them on is a charge of conspiracy.
Now remember,
Conspiracy to do what?
Well, that's the whole thing. One of the things, guys, remember is in what they initially and repeated. All you have to do, I have asked. Now let's qualify this. I have asked. Everybody in the chat room knows this, but if you're new and you just came into the chat room, I have asked the team over and over again, repeatedly, and they have done this with precision. They have reprinted and reposted all of the different announcements that were made in the press. And repeatedly, over and over again, in all of these announcements, there was no discussion. Not once did they say anything about specific charges. They said that all of the papers were sealed. Now, let me point something out. If they've been sealed, nobody on Sunday could open them. So what's happened here is they realize that everybody knows this is a crock of BS. And what they're trying to do is do ongoing agency damage control, just like they did when they attacked the Branch Davidians or the Weaver family. They lied. They lied over, and they lied over, and they lied over again. There is nothing that an alphabet soup agency or any of these skunk parasites in green uniforms, those bottom-feeding pieces of filth, could possibly say that I would believe. Not when they first made all of their little box announcements that everything was sealed, and the poobah said that nobody could see this because the wizard's got it all locked up in his little black beanie robes. Well, if that's the case, I don't think
what we need to do is get in touch with Larry Beecraft. We need to get in touch with Larry Pratt. We need to have our intelligentsia online to deal and debrief and actually formulate some kind of a legal strategy, because come Monday, they're not going to be able to just hide behind the Sunday sealing of the indictment or whatever the warrant says or whatever. That's complete nonsense. But come Monday, these people better not be injured, because I don't know. I'm just an old cripple, but you know what? I'm really upset, Mark. You have no idea how upset I am.
Those of you who have experienced what we have experienced understand why we are feeling the way that we are. I'm not giving them any...
Mark, they could give those people 7 years for conspiracy, and they don't even have to prove anything.
Yep. And you know what? That ain't going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, people, here's the thing. Do you think... And again, the reason I say that is because I feel for the people right now that are in motion. I understand what's going on. And for everybody out there that's listening, and everybody out there that's tuned in, and for all of you that are in the chat room,
Mark,
I cannot I'm sorry, go ahead.
You've got a report that was posted in the chat room from Fox News. Arrests were made in alleged militia activities in Midwest, March 28th, 2010, 12 p.m. EDT. 7 people have been arrested for allegedly selling pipe bombs in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. Fox News has learned, the arrests and raids in Michigan and Indianapolis are related to alleged militia activity in the region, but are not related to internal terrorism. There is no current threat to the public, according to law enforcement.
Yeah, because they got all the evil terrorists that went to a memorial service for a fallen brother. Now that's the real dimension terrorist, isn't it?
Tom, I just scrolled down the page. An official from the FBI Michigan Bureau said, internal court appeals are... I'm misreading that. My eyes are gone wonky, Dad.
Okay, guys, you know what, Ed? I'm going to tell you something right now. Whatever he just released is BS.
Yeah, well...
And I'm going to tell you why, because the bottom line,
claiming pipe bombs,
before, guys, I'm going to tell you, everybody listening, and if somebody is a booby and starts eating that dog vomit up, then that dog better wake up. It's like a dog eating its own vomit. Remember something about this, guys. Read all of the other postings. This is a weekend. if all of the papers were sealed, how is it possible for any bat faggot, FBI parasite, bottom-feeding piece of garbage carp from wherever to all of a sudden pull out of his arse a magic crystal ball about what's in the sealed warrants?
Yeah, well.
You see how that works? Because the bottom line is, their story, the way they generated, you know what this is? They opened a can of whoop ass. Don't normally use that word. It's whoop butt, but I'm gonna tell you, there are people out there right now that whoever that rubber lip is, we can't. If they hear a name, they're gonna be.
Okay, here we go. I can read.
Beware.
Its initial court appearances are expected in Michigan on Monday. There we go.
Right. You know, that's the same thing that was posted earlier. Yes, that was posted earlier. I saw that. Yes.
Okay.
I appreciate that. And I thank you to the people in the chat room, but I will point out again, I will ask you to go back through the original releases and look at what was said. Guys, this is the weekend. This is not a work week. This is not a work day. This is a weekend.
What's cute is they're also saying it had nothing to do with terrorism, but yet the Joint Terrorism Task Force was heading up the raid.
The non-existent JTTF that, remember, the controlled press told everybody, oh, that stuff that we put in America in peril was all just crazy. There's no such thing as a JTF.
Well, the Phantoms just showed up.
Yeah. Well, gee, I think they're kind of like right in everybody's face and documented right here, so I'm a little confused. It's convenient for them to have a memory or not have a memory, or acknowledge and not acknowledge, right out of 1984, guys. Just like 1980.
Okay, Mark, the Michigan State Hospital, who have you got in there? What is
University
this?
No, we can't do that. We've got people right now working on that side because that's a secure ward, so we have to be careful there. But there are people that are... The University of Michigan is a very big hospital, and there are a lot of people even listening right now.
And again,
at the
Tommy,
site.
we have to stress we don't know if the person who was transferred over was one of the people that was picked up.
Okay, good enough. All right.
We'll have the...
I'm out, fellas, and just stay strong. And Ed, try to get some sleep because you've been up a while.
Actually, I took some sleep while some of the other guys took over, so I'm good.
Okay, good enough. Go ahead. Remember something. Rotate your personnel. Everybody keep sharp. And, you know, we didn't start this mess. Bye.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate that. I think we have other callers. Who do we have? Uh-oh. I think we have patient listeners is what we have, which is okay. Anyway, quick overview. And again, if you're seeing any other supplemental or added stories, I would challenge you again to go back through the progressive, or, the original releases were boxed and very narrow. You can't expand from what it is that they initially announced unless all of a sudden somebody did something that only the Grand Poobah in his little black robe could do. And I don't think any of them are awake on Sunday. They're too busy either sleeping off whatever they boozed up or snorted up their nose from last night. They were down at one of the crack houses or coke houses down here in Detroit or down in Toledo, or they're playing golf. And since it's raining, they're probably over at the bar. So you ain't pulling the black robe demon out to do anything. Now, with that being the case, anything else they start announcing now is damage control, just like what we saw when they killed Vicki Weaver at Ruby Ridge, and when they murdered the Branch Davidians the first day when they were murdering them, and they lied every step of the way about every aspect of what was going on. I will remind you of this. They had a PAP box response for their initial scam attack. Everybody is now looking at this, and the most insultive act, the most critical thing to remember for those of you who do not understand this, is this was a wake for a fellow American who had died. These creatures, these disgusting slobs,
Dad,
these
we have
blobs
two new
of
posts
waste.
on Infowars.com. There are a couple of audio feeds here, YouTube videos. One's from Channel 7. I'm not sure where the other one's from. Do you want me to play the audio from those?
We have enough time. Actually, we have all the time we want, so go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. Plug in whatever's there.
Tonight, a major operation is underway. We're being told that Homeland Security is involved. The Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force also involved. We're here live at the Washtenaw County Sheriff where they've set up a command center. Multiple arrests have been made. Again, a major operation underway. We do not know, though, at this time who's being targeted, but this is very serious stuff. Tonight, law enforcement agents converge inside the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. The complex guarded at every entrance by sheriff's deputies. None of them will tell us what's going on inside. But Action News has learned multiple raids are being carried out by the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force. One of those raids going on near Adrian. We spoke to a woman who was watching it all unfold.
They just got helicopters out there with spotlights going back and forth, and we've got undercover cops sitting at where each road meets all around the area.
And are police telling you what they're doing, who they're trying to arrest?
No, we stopped and asked one of them, and he had just said that they are doing a bunch of search warrants and have made some arrests.
Meanwhile, at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, heavy equipment has been brought in. You can see here 2 big satellite trucks and a radio tower. You can also see law enforcement agents gathering and in one case loading a weapon into an SUV. The FBI will not tell us who is being targeted, but we have learned agents have obtained search warrants. And you're looking at a map of Adrian. This is near the area where these raids are taking place. We're told that it's in Sand Creek and Clayton where they have multiple checkpoints set up in the area, so residents are actually being forced to go through those. I talked to another resident just a few minutes ago, and he said that on his scanner he heard 6 people had been arrested as they had come across the Ohio border. The big question, of course, is who is being arrested, who is being targeted, but a major operation with a lot of heavy equipment down there. Again, we're told Homeland Security and the Joint Terrorism Task Force involved. Tonight, the FBI not telling us anything. Reporting live in Ann Arbor, Tom Wade, Channel 7 Action News.
Continuing to follow the breaking news you saw first on Action News last night at 11. The FBI was a part of a raid in the Lenawee and Washtenaw County area. Now, witnesses tell Action News helicopters were flying overhead much of the night, and police officers seemed to be everywhere. Action News reporter Kim Craig is live in Washtenaw County with the latest this morning. Kim, good morning.
Good morning, Vic. Yes, we're at the Sheriff's Department where they seem to have, the FBI has set up a command post here. Now, there's still a lot about this case that we don't know and hope to find out later today, but there does seem to be a connection to the Michigan militia.
They've just got helicopters out there with spotlights going back and forth, and we've got undercover cops sitting at where each road meets all around the area.
Neighbors tell Action News that the raid carried out by federal agents centered on a house in Adrian where members of the Michigan militia live. The raids conducted by the FBI and the Anti-Terrorism Task Force lasted all day Saturday and went well into this morning. Federal agents made an unknown number of arrests and were told the presence of federal agents seemed more like a small army, and this chopper was also in the area searching for others. The major operation also extends here to the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, where it appears federal agents have set up their command center, outfitted with their satellite trucks and a radio tower. And while the FBI is not saying much, every entrance here at the Sheriff's Department was being guarded. All this leaving those living around the home where the suspected Michigan militia members live to wonder.
We stopped and asked one of them, and he had just said that they are doing a bunch of search warrants and have made some arrests.
Things are very quiet here at the Sheriff's Department right now, where, again, we understand that the FBI was setting up a command post last night. A spokesperson for the FBI won't say what this case is about. All they will say is that the warrants are sealed, and they will not comment any further. We will certainly keep you updated on this throughout the morning and the rest of the day here on Action News. For now, reporting live at the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department in Ann Arbor, Kimberly Craig, Channel 7 Action News. Back to you.
And again, those are 2. Well, go right ahead. Who do we have? Well, I think we got just a little background feed there. That was, of course, those were 2 postings. They're actually from local news feeds here in the area. For guys in the chat room, first of all, I'm going to ask our friends that are listening or that are in the chat room right now to repost what it is that we have been posting with regard to the original announcements. Now, I do agree with what one of our friends said here. There aren't, they'll either pull them out of their hind end or all of a sudden there just won't be any warrants, but they just forged ahead anyway. I covered this years ago, And when I did it, we took all kinds of attack for what was called indefinite detention. Now, where did we get this from? I got this from inside the system. At the time, on my background, originally I worked as a 94B20 intelligence analyst. I qualified security manager. I graduated from U6, 13th out of a class of 33, second highest class to graduate from U6 as a 94B. I am not somebody who held the post because they needed a promotion. I was recruited, I was trained, and I have worked as an intelligence analyst. You can't take that from me. I have listened to insults for years by buffoons, incompetents, and incredibly stupid people who have tried to ridicule what is a qualification that I met based upon very strict guidelines. And they can stick it up their hind end. I understand the system. I am very familiar with what's going on. And at the time, gradually, over a period of learning experience in my life, I have come to understand who our enemies are. Now, some buffoon with this FBI office wherever is now got to pull something out of his hind end to do damage control because he decided to urinate in the pool. And nobody likes the fact that they also decided to take a dump, and we've got some big old baby roots floating around too now, and everybody can see them, and nobody's doing the, oh, thank you. Instead, we see all of you for what you are. No matter which of these alphabet soup agencies was involved, these disgusting pieces of filth, these rotten pieces of tripe, attacked these people during a wake for an individual who had passed away that was a good friend. That's the type of skunks and scum that you are dealing with in these agencies. They are as low as could possibly be imagined. I consider them completely contemptible. And there's nothing that I can say, and there's nothing that they can do that will fix it. The wedge that is breaking this country and splitting it apart, the gap is not going to be brought back together. I cannot emphasize this enough for all of you that are listening. Starting a week ago, the Soviet showed their face, and all of these potlickers and all these agencies are sucking up so deep their ears are brown and they couldn't be pulled out of the arse of the globalists with a crowbar. That's what kind of filth we are dealing with. Oh, except that they like it. And you know what? If you had to pull them out from between cheeks, they worship Barney Frank. Barney Frank and all the rest of these dribbly pieces of tripe are the junk and detritus that have gravitated to positions of authority and power through attrition. And all of these alphabet soup types worship that kind of creature. They consider that an acceptable thing to receive orders from, and they worship it. Now you think about that. You think about what it is you're dealing with, and all these Homeland Security gutter feeders are the same way, spiffy green uniforms being what they are. They attacked people during a wake. Study not too closely the ways of your enemy, lest they become yours. Always remember this, because this is why I can stay calm. I know that all of you are above that filth. Every one of you, no matter your walk of life, are most assuredly a head, shoulders, and whole body above that excrement that's waddling around in the filth. And that's these people in these agencies that have gone and stooped to this level of buffoonery. Now they're trying to do damage control. They're making announcements. Well, these are all conflict now, but they are exactly what I would expect and what we even talked about a couple days ago. Remember that when they start pulling this garbage, they will create confused statements so that everybody can go, like the Wizard of Oz with the scarecrow. Well, some people go over here, and other people go over there. And you remember by the time he's done, his hands were crossed, and he's all confused, and this, and that, and the other? That's the pickle, smoke, and mirrors crowd, which is what we've got. There's some the person who's making the announcements. You have professional liars who write press announcements, or, well, what do we do to engineer this? That's what you're dealing with, and it's on a Sunday. Now, read all the rest of the statements made by these characters. Everything was sealed. Nobody knew it was inside this. It was a mystery to everybody. But all of a sudden, you got this grand poobah, who's not a judge, who just made this special announcement to make, to try and do damage control. Study not too closely the ways of your enemy, lest they become yours. Now, there are some people grasping at straws, or maybe they're working for somebody else. Oh, good look what they said. Anything to... Yeah, you know what? You better step back, like I said, and do a little more research real quick, and then study the timeline. We have watched this step by step. Now, for a lot of people, and some people have said, yes, well, Mark can't emphasize enough how serious this is. Because right now, one of the other things that's been happening is troops are moving, militia troops are moving. Some doopa behind a steering wheel with a spiffy black uniform or a stupid green uniform is going to get the idea that they might want to get in somebody's face. And just as I said in how it will start, what's going to happen is Group A is going to meet Group B on the road, and it is going to go into a popcorn, extravaganza. And you had all best be ready for this. Now, I don't know what more, I can't really emphasize that enough. It's not that I'm panicking on this. It's just that, here's another old line we used to use. That diversion you're trying to ignore is the attack you were expecting. Let me repeat that. That diversion you are trying to ignore is that attack you were expecting. That diversion you are trying to ignore is that attack that you were expecting. It's one of many little axioms, from the old, we call it the shooter's guide, from the old tricks of the trade. So you might want to think about that for a little bit, people. And whoever the fool is that thought this up, if he's a regional, he deserves he'll be remembered on the other side for being the buffoon that got this war started. Well, breathe. That's all I can say. Anyway, you are listening to us on the Intel Report. This is a special broadcast on PBN. It is live. Again, it is, let's make sure that we qualify this for all of you. This is March 28th. Benchmark this. Remember it. Because you're going to see a whole bunch of other lies generated progressively by the other side to try and maintain more confusion. And you will see the controlled press help in generating those lies. Does everybody understand that? Remember and go back to what they said. The Branch Davidian, the white supremacist Branch Davidian compound that was making drugs ambushed the poor old bat faggots while they were busy attacking so they could shoot men, women, and children in their homes. Remember that? I do. Mark has enough of a memory, and I know you guys do, beyond a 3-week memory span. And you know what? I don't care about those Tigers. I don't care about football or hockey or baseball. I am a thinking American. I have the glasses on, and I know that all of you do too. So let's all stay focused and do our part. I heard a beep. We might have a caller before the top of the hour. Who do we have?
Hey, Mark.
Go ahead, sir.
Hey, this is the Michigan Patriot again. In one of the news articles that was posted in the chat room, I think this is interesting. I don't know if the media is trying to spin what it looks like. What they're trying to do is spin one militia group against another, because in the article it says one of the Hutaree members called a Michigan militia leader for assistance Saturday after federal agents had already begun their raid. Lacomar said, I believe he's the one that does MichiganMilitia.com, but the militia member, who is of Islamic descent, had heard about the threat, declined to offer help. That Michigan militia leader is now working with federal officials to provide information on the Hutaree member for the investigation, Lacomar said Sunday. So, whether that's true or not, you at least got the media trying to put one militia group against the other, right?
Exactly. And again, isn't this just amazing?
That news article was posted in the chat room. This is the Detroit News, right on their website, Detroit News article.
Very good. And again, that's
so they're showing that Michigan. They're saying that Michigan militia members are now working with federal officials.
Well, and again, if that's the case, then the person wasn't a militia person to begin with, as we know.
These are the guys that run the MichiganMilitia.com website.
Oh,
because
okay.
Because if you go to MichiganMilitia.com
I see what
here,
you're talking about now. Yes,
Yeah. Because here's what it says right on the top of their website. It says neither MichiganMilitia.com nor the SMVM have been raided by the FBI. We do nothing illegal.
Yeah. Oh, that. Okay, I should.
What a bunch of buffoons, man.
Well, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. No, that would be expected from that group to begin with. So.
Okay.
It would be a sacrifice. Their motto: sacrifice everybody.
Sounds like
and are there more
an
donuts?
operation.
Sacrifice everybody, and are there more donuts? Does that give you a hint?
Okay.
Well, not only do they want the donuts, they may want the holes too, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. We'll just keep the intel coming your way, right?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I'll tell you what. I think what we're going to do. We're going to probably take a break for a little bit again. And we probably will just. I think we'll sign off for the moment. Hopefully we've brought everybody up to speed. I know we could. Well, of course, Edward's sitting there in the wings. He can let me know.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Mark?
I've got you. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to come up and ask you, do you want to continue with another hour, or I can go over to our scheduled broadcast, which is a tape from Braveheart Radio out of Pennsylvania?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's let Mark have at least one break out of 52 hours. How's that sound?
All right.
We can take a break for a moment. By the way, in the meantime, I'm sure that they're grabbing hind end at the other side, and some professional liar who's a grade 3 liar. The grade 1 liar will be kicked out of the way, and the professional grade 3 liar will be brought in to fabricate the next series of releases to try, how can we spend, we got to spend this to create sold, save ourselves. You know, that's exactly what they're going to be doing. So again, pay attention, benchmark, and copy everything so we can create a timeline of articles. And I would recommend that everybody hard copy. If you could, please, print out the articles, because I will not be surprised to hear that they've been scrubbed from the system.
The moderator has disconnected.
Uh-oh. Well, I believe
no, I haven't. I'm still here.
Oh, there we go. Wow, that's interesting. God bless the Republic. Death of the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The Empire is on the run. We are on the march. All of you stay frosty. Thank you very much for all of your help. It's your strength that's going to make our liberty a reality. To keep our liberty, people, we're going to have to work together. God bless, and we're going to go to regular broadcasting here on LTR for a bit. We may kick in again. We'll let you know in the chat room as we develop the information and as we get further reports from ground units across the state of Michigan and the Midwest. God bless.
Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of
You're listening to Pennsylvania American Patriot Radio. Braveheart, 88.3 FM, Meadville, Pennsylvania.